Good afternoon. We're approaching 3 o'clock. I'm meteorologist Nicholas Herboso. Welcome to a special edition of Next Weather, where we're discussing the tropics, something a lot of people are paying attention to today, as we have a high chance for development in the far eastern Gulf of Mexico, maybe over the Florida Peninsula. You see that red area there. That is the area of concern for possible development in the coming days. Let's go take it full screen so you can see, and we'll break down what we're thinking at this time. We will give you our weather headlines and much more. So right now, here's the deal: a 70% chance of development over the next 7 days here. What we're likely to see is a tropical depression or possible storm developing probably after Saturday. In the far southeastern Gulf of Mexico, far eastern Gulf of Mexico, maybe hugging the Florida Peninsula or the Florida West Coast, and then meandering towards the Big Bend. At least that's the deal for right now. However, the forecast could change, something we're watching. The models have been doing the windshield wiper effect already and have been shifting around, so something we're keeping an eye on there. Here's a look at your current satellite. We're going to zoom into this thing over the last few hours here. And there it is over Hispaniola. One thing that we have seen is the development of more thunderstorms around the center of this storm. Even though I say center, this thing does not actually have a well-defined center of circulation at this very moment. And that is actually a bit of an issue for us at this time, because we do not have a perfect center for the forecast models to latch onto. So there it is, right around the Dominican Republic and Haiti, these blobs of thunderstorms. That is a very typical tropical disturbance. Decently defined, but as I mentioned, does not have a true center of circulation. Zooming out just a little bit so we can get a bigger picture, you can see the Bahamas, which are located right here. Then of course we have Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Cuba. We have some time. This is still generally far away from us. We have about a day or so before it reaches or approaches the southern tip of Florida, and then this is going to be pushing off to the north and west, getting into that southeastern Gulf of Mexico. Here's the current thinking with modeling, and let's get going here. Current thinking with modeling, we have two areas of high pressure around this thing. Forecast models are seeing that this storm goes in between those two areas of high pressure. So it's a gap that the storm tries to shoot between. However, we do lose some steering currents around Sunday. So this is kind of as it's at the end of this track here. Sunday would be about right here. I'm pointing it out on the screen there. We start to lose some steering currents, and we could see the thing slow down. So that kind of complicates the forecast a little bit. Over the next couple of days, we do have a little bit of confidence here. By Friday, we're expecting this thing to be somewhere over Cuba. You can see that there is a wide area where it could be on Friday. Remember how I said we do not have a defined center of circulation? So the center of circulation could be down here, could be over here, could be over here. We got to wait for that defined center of circulation. Then on Saturday, we see somewhere along this line here generally. So South Florida, the far western tip of Cuba maybe. That is all within the realm of possibilities at this time. But generally, we understand that within this swath, the disturbance will be located there within the next couple of days. If you think back to that Hurricane Center outlook, the development chances over the next couple of days are not very high. Why? Because it's over land. It's dealing with the mountains right now of Hispaniola, dealing with the mountains of Cuba as well. So likely not to develop. But then beyond Saturday, once we get to that Sunday point, which is towards the end of this little swath here, that is where we could see some development into maybe a depression. That is also the point where the forecast becomes more uncertain. That is a result of weaker steering flow. Those blocking high pressure systems are still around this storm, and in fact, it is possible, based on some modeling, that it could hitch a ride on the far western edge of this blocking high pressure and actually go across the peninsula, across the Big Bend, and end up impacting places like coastal Georgia, coastal South Carolina, coastal North Carolina. But that's only one model that's saying that at this time. There's a wide range of solutions, including solutions that come much closer to our area. So anybody that's saying we know exactly where this is going 5 days out, you don't. We don't. It is too far out at this time because this is a challenging forecast with conflicting steering flow and generally weak steering flow. So here's what we know at this time locally. Disturbance is located over Hispaniola, slowly organizing. It may develop over the eastern Gulf of Mexico. That's along the west coast of Florida there. Or it may develop even over the Florida Peninsula or move over the Florida Peninsula. That's places like South Florida, Miami, Tampa, Orlando, those places. Exact local impacts are unknown at this very moment. However, by Saturday, remember Saturday, we talked about this thing emerging into the Gulf of Mexico or emerging over South Florida. By Saturday, we should have a pretty much better idea of where this thing is going. Maybe by then we have that defined center of circulation. If not, it may still be a little bit of a challenge. We're hoping we have that defined center of circulation by then so we can start to get a better grasp of this. So your best advice right now, our best advice for local residents is simply review your storm plan. It's the best idea to do. Make sure you have stuff in your kit. Make sure you have, your water, your non-perishable foods always. Just make sure you have that kit already built as you're supposed to do at the beginning of hurricane season as always. And make sure you also review any plans that you have. Double check your evacuation plans as always. Make sure you have them and make sure you know what you're going to do if anything comes our way. Just kind of the basic things that you would do at the beginning of hurricane season. No reason at all to worry right now. And as I mentioned, it is too far away to completely understand our local impacts at this time. We have to wait a little bit, and you have to give us that time to allow us to latch onto that center, to get some better modeling in, let the models do the windshield wipering, and then we can figure things out. But once we get to that point, if you already have your plan in place, you will already be at a better starting point. That's where we are right now with this system. Quite far out. We have a little bit of time. No need to worry at this very moment. I do have questions in the Facebook chat that I want to address. Is it going to increase our rain chances next week with it bringing tropical moisture? Good question, Ray, there. It depends. And this depends on the exact track of the system. Right now, if you look at our 7-day forecast, you'll notice we've dropped the rain chances ever so slightly starting late Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, dropping them from 50% to around 30%. That is because if we are on the western side of that western side of the system is the dry side of the system. Bringing northerly and northeasterly or northeasterly wind, that would be drier. We'd be on the dry side of the system. If it comes closer to us, that changes significantly. If the storm gets into that slow steering flow, very slow motion, happens to bring rain over to our area, that would change that. Just give us some time. Right now, we're kind of going with the solution of, in our 7-day forecast at least, storms slightly to our east, therefore we're on the northern dry and western dry side of the storm. So I have rain chances lowering right now after Sunday, but that may change, and stay tuned for that. Checking out any other questions. If we do not have them, I'm going to move on to the second half of this video, which will be talking about the heat because it's still a serious issue and we are butting up against the 3 o'clock show, so kind of got to speed this thing along. Let's talk about heat real quick. Right now we have a big old heat dome, as we saw in some of the previous graphics, over the United States. You can see it over Texas. I mentioned yesterday it'd start migrating west, and that is exactly what's happening. We have heat advisories. Those will be continuing over the next few days. Heat index values 108, 110, 112 degrees. You know the deal there. Just make sure you're staying cool out there. Current temperatures across the nation, you can see it. Look at 99 in Oklahoma City. That's incredible. With heat index around 109. Look at Mobile, heat index of 109 as well. Notice their air temperature was higher than ours, but our humidity is higher than theirs. That's why it's the same. Afternoon heat index for tomorrow afternoon, a serious issue. 111, 112. We know we've been dealing with it. Just make sure that you're still staying hydrated. We're so used to it at this point that it may skip our head a little bit. Just make sure you're being careful. 97 degrees with isolated thunderstorms tomorrow. Even overnight, it is very warm. Therefore, we have a pretty significant heat risk. This is a product by the National Weather Service. Anytime you see that purple, that is at the maximum scale of heat risk, meaning decent potential for, if you're outside for too long, heat-related illness, indicating that this is a long duration event as well, which it has been. So we're seeing more impact from it out there. This is kind of an impacts graphic, and it's a really good product that the National Weather Service has released. Purple, bad, it is going to be hot, and I think you know that. Here's some good news maybe. With tropical system, even if it goes off to our east, well off to our east, that could drop our temperatures ever so slightly for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You see I have 93, 92 degrees. That is an improvement from what it was previously. So here's that 7-day outlook. Notice I mentioned Monday 40%, Tuesday 40%, that slight drop in rain chances there. That's what we're going with in our forecast now. Understand that could change in the next few days based on the tropical implications there. Something we'll be watching very, very closely. But for now, I'll leave you with our 7-day outlook. We got to get ready for the 3 p.m. show, which I will be on starting in just a few minutes here. So if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat, or what else you can do, you can just send us a Facebook message or put comments in some of those weather videos that we post on the Fox 10 page. Be sure to do that so we can keep engaged with you. We want to answer your questions. We do. We want to get you the best information we can, especially as we have potential tropical system entering the Gulf this weekend. So we'll keep you updated. There's your 7-day forecast. No tropical issues in it yet, but we'll keep our eyes on things. We thank you so much for joining us here on Next Weather.